Welcome back to the second installment of What's Wrong with the World Today. All of it. It's everything is wrong with the world today. That's it. Video over. See y'all next time. Nah, I kid. I kid. We're gonna talk about some woke crap that's annoying. Um, it's really obnoxious. Hang on, so the light's a little too bright. That better. Yeah, that's better. I don't look like a pale ghost face now. Um, there's some woke crap that's annoying me, and it's this virtue signaling nonsense. It's like people just like it's like a verbal diarrhea of I'm going to say things that don't make sense, and it's very prominent in the like heavy metal, punk rock kind of. There's like a huge switch where the punk crowd went from no, I'm not going to do what you want and I'm not going to listen to the establishment to yes, Massa, I do whatever Massa say real quick. And I don't know when that happened, but it's really like, it's really frustrating. And I think the simple answer is punk rock is about fighting back, right? So whoever's in control, whoever's winning, is who they're going to fight back against. They don't have a rhyme or a reason anymore. You know, it used to be anti-war. It used to be, it used to have a stance, and now it's just fight back. It used to have, there used to be, there used to be things about punk rock that people were like, yeah, no, this is bad. Rebelling against this is there were specific things that were punk rock. Now it's just kind of whatever. Like we don't like things, so now it's punk rock to rebel against thing, even if we're rebelling in favor of the machine. Before it used to just be fight the machine, stand up against the machine. Now it's fight back against whoever's in charge because we don't like them. And for the past, 10 or so years, that's been the Republican Party. So there's been this huge pushback in the punk rock scene where they've pushed themselves more liberal. And I'd argue that punk rock's always been slightly more liberal. It's always been, when it gets political, it's always been a little bit more on the liberal side. But there's a lot of songs. One of my favorite songs is a song by a band called Rise Against, and it's called State of the Union. State of the Union is a song written in protest of, I believe it was the invasion of Iraq. I think it might have been before 9/11. It was either right before or right after 9/11, and it was just in protest of the war. Like, hey, we shouldn't be going to war here. Um, I think it was pre 9/11. Was that Siren Song of the Counterculture? Yeah. I cannot spell what. What year was Siren Song of the Counter Culture released? It was 2004. It was 2004. So it was more of a okay, we've been at war, we did the thing, like we should be done by now. It was like a hey, why are we still there kind of thing. Like people are dying and we shouldn't be doing this. And yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Now, in '04, I didn't have political opinions. I didn't know what the album was about. Honestly, I probably didn't even know the album existed in 2004. I'm a huge Rise Against fan. I have Rise Against over my shoulder. I actually have that song quote tattooed on my arm. Um, Rise Against is one of my favorite bands. They're a very liberal group. But punk rock's always been liberal. But it's gotten to a point where punk rock and metal has maintained fairly conservative, but there's a huge divide in metal, heavy metal specifically. You have bands like All That Remains that are just like Phil Labonte is outspoken. I hate communism. I'm not going to stand. I'm not. I'm going to be a counter-revolutionary. You want a revolution? You want a communist revolution? I'm going to counter that. And then there's other bands in the metal scene like Metallica that I don't think have a political. I don't think they have much of a political stance. But I would wager they're probably a little bit more conservative. And then there's some metal bands that are fairly liberal. Um, there's bands like Asking Alexandria that I don't think are very. I don't think they're very political. I don't think they have a stance one way or another as a group. That's not to say that the members don't have stances. That's to say that the group doesn't have a stance. I know that System of a Down. I think Serge, the lead singer, is very liberal, and I think the drummer is like very conservative, pro-Trump, and they get along and they make good music. And yeah, there are some very liberal songs that have come from System of a Down. It's still good music, and I think the message overall is good. I just think the way they're going about the message is wrong, or the end goal they want is wrong, is not good. I think there's a song. What's that song called? Where he says something like, pushing little children with their semi-automatics. They like to push the weak around, and it makes you wonder: is this song pro-gun control, or is this song anti-government, being the only ones with guns? When you can sit there and say, well, it could go either way, that's when people can get behind music. And now I personally think it's more a statement against authority, right? If we're pushing around, they like to push the weak around. The government likes to push the weak around because they have the monopoly on violence. That's the way I've taken it. I could be completely misinterpreting the song, but the way I've taken it is they like to push the weak around because they have the monopoly on violence. They have all the guns. They have the ability to do that, especially in places like New York and California, where a lot of these people are from. I've noticed a lot of the metal and punk singers, more punk singers seem to come from places like Chicago, whereas more metal singers seem to come from at least a little bit more rural areas. So they're kind of a little bit more conservative. I've just noticed that to be a thing. Anyway, I digress. My tangent here will come to an end, and we'll actually get into the ridiculousness of how far this has gone. We have from Pink News, Haley Williams bans transphobes from gigs as she says Southern pride is no excuse for bigotry. This is the biggest nothing statement ever. When people say shit like this, I just completely ignore them most of the time. Now, Paramore's not a band that I was ever a big fan of. I'll be honest. But I understand the influence that a band like Paramore could have. Paramore's huge. Like, everyone knows who Paramore is. Paramore is one of the biggest bands out there. They're huge. And they're from Texas, I believe. Which is why this statement confused the shit out of me. Because I would think that someone from Texas would be like, I don't know, that's dumb crap I'm not going to get into. I'm just going to go on with my day. But instead, Haley has said, no, if you're transphobic, you can't come to my shows. Which, first of all, I'm not transphobic. I'm anti-pedophiles grooming children. And that's what the LGBT community seems to consist of nowadays. To the point where most lesbian and gay people want to separate from the greater LGBT. Because the TAIP, LMNOQ, RSTUV thing that keeps getting added, it's not like the gays and the lesbians are like, yo, can we get like out of this? Because those people are just insane. I've watched so many videos of gay people or lesbians or bisexuals calling out the LGBT community and saying, hey, we don't want to be a part of this. Now Haley Williams is saying, well, you're transphobic, so you can't come to my show. They're gay. They're literally the people you're talking to right now. And they're saying, no, we don't want nothing to do with those people. They're being real weird. Let's read the article. Haley Williams has said she has absolutely no patience for fans who still believe trans people are a burden while discussing her relationship with the southern United States. The Paramore singer-songwriter drew a hard line in the sand, banning sexist, racist, and transphobic fans from her performances. Speaking with Clash magazine, Williams said she hopes bigots won't feel comfortable at her shows and would only perform for people who believe all should be welcome. Hold up! Tap the brakes, Haley. You just said that you'll only perform for people who think that all should be welcome, but you don't think all should be welcome. Sounds a little hypocritical to me, but that's what woke is, right? Woke doesn't make sense. Woke has never made sense. It's always a hypocrite. It's always nonsense. It never makes sense when they say, you can't be here because you're a bigot, and everybody should feel welcome here. Well, if everybody should feel welcome here, so should the bigot. If you want to host events where everyone should feel welcome, that includes the bigot, the racist, the anti-Semite, the transphobe. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite if you ban certain people so that everybody feels welcome. Because now you've banned certain people so they don't feel welcome. See what I'm getting at here? It's something that you can never fulfill. You can never have it both ways. All are welcome if you believe all should be welcome. If you don't believe that, you're not welcome. Then all aren't welcome. Pretty simple. Let's continue. The staunch LGBT ally, who has made no secret of her support for the trans community, said she always tried to foster a welcoming community around both Paramore and her solo music. Part of those efforts came from her willingness to confront uncomfortable realities within her music, which is no more apparent than in her third studio album, Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party. I can neither confirm nor deny because I have not heard said album. The album delves into Williams' struggle between her love of the U.S. South and its deep-rooted racist and prejudicial history. Okay. I've been to the South a few times. We used to go down south every Christmas. The South is the least prejudiced place I've ever been. I have walked into gas stations in Georgia behind a black man and an Arab, and this old Southern lady, hi y'all, how you doing? Y'all need anything? Can I help you get anything? You guys know what you're looking for? Just the kindest, like Nana. It's like you just walked into Nana's house and she's like, hey, you hungry? I got some food. You need a drink? I got some Kool-Aid. There's some soda in the fridge. Bathrooms that way. Make yourself at home. I have never felt more welcome than in the South. When I go even to Kentucky and I go into gas stations and I go into restaurants or stores or whatever, in the state of Kentucky, I feel more welcome than I do in my own state of Ohio. I walk into stores in Ohio and I feel like people are like, yo, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to deal with you. I walk into stores down south and it's like I'm their best friend and they've never even met me. Like the South is the least prejudiced and the least racist place I've ever been. I've seen more racism in my own life in cities in the North than I have in the South. Whoever would sit there and say that the South is prejudiced and racist is just a moron. Like, you're just an idiot. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're hanging out with the wrong people. Because in my experience, and my dad would back me up on this, and my brother would back me up on this, I got one brother who's driven truck all over the East Coast. I got one brother who lived out in California and Texas for, I think he was in Texas for like a year, or maybe not quite. I don't remember how long he was in Texas. I digress. I got one brother my one brother drove across the country for the Air Force to go to California. I mean, he never once said, yeah, when I was in the South, man, those people were fucking racist. When he was in the South, nobody was racist. When he was in Texas, nobody was racist. I remember I was little. When we were in Texas, everyone was so kind. Everyone was polite. Nobody was being an asshole to anybody. Everyone was super welcoming. Now, I was real little, so it might have something to do with that. But I mean, I've been into the South as a late teen, early adult, and like never had a problem with anybody. Never thought for a minute, oh, these people are racist. I have never felt more welcome than in the South. This is just nonsense. She continues on to say, look, it's amazing to have Southern pride. It's a beautiful area of not only the country, but the world. It's so rich in culture and meaning, but we're focusing on the wrong thing. Well, how do you say it's racist and then say it's rich in culture? If it's rich in culture, it's clearly not racist because that means there's more than one culture. You see what I'm getting at here? They just say shit. They just make shit up. They just say things. Here's what she wants to say. Let me translate this. I don't like white people because I've been told not to like white people. So I'm going to say that white people are all racist because if I don't say that, I'm not matching the narrative and they might cancel me. Uh, she continues on to say, I've never known how to, and you can't make it happen. It happened at the time it was supposed to. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, Williams said she wanted to write about the legacy of racism as well as present transphobia in the U.S. for so long. I've never known how to, and you can't make it happen. It happened at the time it was supposed to. I've just always felt very grateful that our band can be part of that conversation. You're not part of that conversation, though. You're just saying the things that you think you should say to satisfy the mob. No one has sat down and been like, man, transphobia is real bad. Listen to this new Paramore album, and it'll probably change your mind. You nasty transphobe. Nobody's done that. That's not a thing that's happened. You're not that important, Haley. And it's really annoying when these singers get real political, you know? Even there were a couple country singers that got real like on the Trump train, and I was like, bro, just make music. Like, just make music. I feel like if you decide to be a singer, a songwriter, a sports player, I mean, at that point, just like stay out of politics. Like, just don't do the politics thing. Make something for everyone, or don't make something. If we can't all get along, nobody gets it. You can make, or at least if you're gonna make, like, I'll give you an example. The Jason Aldean song, "Try That in a Small Town." That is in all manners, that is a right leaning song, right? It's standing up for the Second Amendment. It's standing up for that small town life that a lot of these guys grew up on. Even myself, I live in a city, but it's a very small city, and a lot of people know each other here. I mean, our downtown's 2 blocks. Like, it's a very small city. We have that try that in a small town mentality here because it's how we all grew up. My neighbors and I don't necessarily get along well, but if somebody's fucking with my neighbors or if somebody's fucking with my house, my neighbor's going to say something or I'm going to say something. We don't necessarily get along. We're not necessarily besties, but we're going to watch out for each other. We're not necessarily best friends, but we're not going to let people fuck with our stuff. I'm not going to let people fuck with their stuff. They're not going to let people fuck with my stuff. We at least have the agreement of we might not be friends, but like I'm not going to let people bother you. If someone's bothering you, I'm not going to let that fly. Like there was an incident. I got into a fight with some fucking loon outside of my house, fist fight, and my neighbor's like, "Do you want me to call the cops? Like, what was that? Like, are you okay? Do you need the cops called? Like, they can't just do that." And I'm like, "No, don't call the cops. That just makes it more complicated. Just like let it go. Like, I won the fight. It's a pretty obvious they're not coming back. Like, let's just let bygones be bygones here." It's just a different thing when you grow up in a small town. That was an overtly political song. Unless Jason Aldean wrote that song and said, "Yeah, I want to sing this song." If some songwriter or a ghostwriter wrote that and was like, "Jason, you should sing this," and I just don't believe in that, because that's not his stance. Now, given how vocal his wife has been, I would say that would probably have been his stance. That was probably a song he wrote. But I digress. Like if you're just trying to be, if you're just a pop star, if you're just the next country thing, just like let it go. Because this next story we're going to jump to exemplifies why I say just stay out of it. YouTuber Miss Rachel on Anti-Semite of the Year list after showing support for Gaza's bombed and starved children. Miss Rachel is one of the most annoying people on the planet. I have a 2-year-old nephew. I have listened to more Miss Rachel than I fucking care to admit. Miss Rachel makes me want to fucking give myself a 9mm fucking shit. What's the thing when they drill a hole in your head and they I was gonna say vasectomy, but that's not the word. Oh god damn it! The Kennedys did lobotomy. She makes me want to give myself a 9mm lobotomy. So she supported the children. That's the thing here, right here. Gaza's bombed and starved children. But the left, no, she supported Gaza. She supported Gaza, that anti-Semite, Nazi, fascist cunt. No, you idiot. She wants to give money to the children. You fucking dumbass. The children of a war zone that deserve to be able to eat. The pro-Israel Stop Anti-Semitism group has named popular children's YouTuber Miss Rachel among its 10 candidates for the annual Anti-Semite of the Year competition, including individuals with no history of anti-Jewish prejudice. Stop Anti-Semitism has relentlessly attacked Miss Rachel, a child educator with over 17 million subscribers on YouTube, for her pro-Palestinian activism in response to Israel's brutal war on Gaza. That's not what happened, though. Here's the list. If you want to see the list, that's the list. We got Cynthia Nixon in this corner and Cenk Uygur here. I don't know who Cynthia Nixon is. Anna Kasparian. I don't think she's I don't think she's an anti-Semite. Cenk might be an anti-Semite. I'm not sure. Miss Rachel? No. Tucker Carlson? No, not even close. I don't think Anna is. I'm not sure about Stu Peters. I'm not sure about Kala Walsh. Is that Matt Walsh's wife? I don't know who these two are. I'm not sure who Bri Christensen is either. I don't know who these top three. I don't know who they are. I've vaguely heard of Stu Peters. I don't really know who he is. So like half of this list are people that no one's even heard of. Like, and like the person posting it says they forgot anti-Semite number 1, Candace Owens. Like, you could make an argument for Candace being an anti-Semite. Like, yeah, there's an argument there to be made. But to say that Ms. Rachel's anti-Semitic because she donated money to children, how unhinged are these people? When I say this is woke crap, it was nothing more than woke crap. This is someone saying this woman, Miss Rachel, who doesn't do politics on her channel. I mean, I've seen enough of it to, yeah, she's not fucking super political. There's been a couple times where I've been like, is that political or is that just like we should get along? I don't know. But for the most part, and I'd argue if anything, she's probably pretty liberal. If anything, she's probably really fucking liberal and possibly a serial killer. Like, I'm not saying there is bodies tied up in her basement, but if there were, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And they probably wouldn't be Jewish bodies. I'm just putting that out there. I don't think she's going out targeting Jews. She's not like the female Jeffrey Dahmer just going after Jews. Also, Dahmer said tattoos taste really bad, so get inked up, friends. I just can't believe that like this is where we're at. Is that Paramore is saying you can't come to my show if you don't agree with trans. And there's a group claiming that fucking Miss Rachel is a Nazi because she gave money to the children of the people they don't like. Their argument is literally we should kill their children. because we don't like them. We don't like these people, so their children should die, is the argument here. What the actual fuck is wrong with people? What has happened to society? I grew up in a time where we could disagree. You could say, I don't like waffles, and I didn't have to say, I'm sorry, you could say, I like waffles, and I didn't have to say, you hate pancakes. Now it's, if you say, hey, I like waffles, I have to say, you hate pancakes, because my side is so against your side, anything you say has to be a fight. Anything you say has to be just all out war. If you say, I don't like apples, then you must like oranges, so you're a Nazi. So I have to hate you because I like apples. You don't like apples, you must like oranges, I have to hate you. I don't understand why this is a thing. I don't understand when this became a thing, but I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I can't fucking stand it. You can't even listen to a song anymore without Haley Williams getting up there. If you don't like trans people, you can't come to my show. Look at me, I'm so special. Honey, you ain't been special in 20 fucking years. You ain't been special for 20 years. You're out of the limelight, sweetheart. No one cares. And then to say, oh, Miss Rachel's an anti-Semite because she donated money to children in a war zone. But because it was the wrong war zone, she's a Nazi. Are you fucking kidding me? This is the shit that led to Charlie Kirk getting shot. This is the shit that led to Donald Trump getting shot. This is the shit over and over and over again every single day that leads to the empowerment of the radicals that say this stupid shit. It's dumb. It is dumb. You know who says Miss Rachel's a Nazi? A fucking dumb person. And you know who listens? A dumb person. Dumb people will sit there and say, oh yeah, Miss Rachel's a Nazi because I saw it on this list that Miss Rachel's an anti-Semite, so she hates Jews and stuff. I don't get it. No, she's not an anti-Semite. She doesn't hate Jews because she donated money to Palestinian children. That's not how that works. She donated money to the children. It's not hating the other side because you gave money to the children in a war zone. If the United States was at war again with Afghanistan and we were giving money to Afghani children, that doesn't mean we're anti-US. It just means the children shouldn't have to die because the adults chose war. I mean, sometimes things are just that simple. Children shouldn't die because adults decided war. But not to the left. To the left, we don't care. Fuck those children, they should be dead. That's what the left says. Anyway, that's all I got. I just wanted to yap about this for a minute because it was annoying when I saw it and it hasn't gone anywhere, and I really didn't want to talk about Trump calling someone a retard because who cares? Like, that was like the big trending story that I keep seeing is Trump called somebody a retard, which maybe they're a retard. I don't fucking know. Maybe you're the retard for talking about it. I don't know. I didn't want to talk about that, so I figured I would just yap about this. So that's all I got. I'll see you all in the next one.